is Beyond Perception. I'm Simon Rilling, and today I have the true pleasure to sit down with Tom Hibbert, who is a world-class strength coach, coaching lots of high-level strength athletes, record holders, champions, especially from strongman and powerlifting. But at the same time, also general population. He's walking the talk and also top strength athlete, 3 times England's strongest man and the world record setter in 2019 himself with impressive records. Deadlift 210 kilos, back squat 270, front squats 230 kilos. And as mentioned before, he's at the world record last year in the log clean press with 166 kilos in the under 90 kilos class. And last but not least, he's also an amazing, humble human being, always accessible with a helping hand. And he has been coaching me for now 2+ years. And it's a true pleasure to sit down here. Thank you for your time, Tom.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What an intro. You've built me up a bit too much.
When I was preparing myself a little bit for this conversation, I recognized that I never asked you how and why did you start strength training?
Strength training?
Yeah.
In particular? I always tell the story about World's Strongest Man being on the TV, and I was always captivated. I don't know what it's like for you, but it's every Christmas. Every Christmas, World's Strongest Man is played, and I was always captivated by it. And the first time I watched it, a British guy won. He was Welsh, Gary Taylor. And then I watched it every year from then. And then Mariusz Pudzianowski. Do you know Mariusz Pudzianowski? You heard of him?
Yeah, I'm a little
Polish guy. That's okay. So he's a Polish guy, but he was 5-time World's Strongest Man, but he also looked very lean and muscular. So you just look at it like that. So I've always been captivated by strength training. And then I moved to America as a kid, age 13 to 16. And weight training there is widely accepted as a teenager because they have American football. It's just part and parcel of it. So I got into weight training then. And ever since then, I think, every week I've been weight training, and I fell in love with it, and I wanted to make a living out of it. I didn't know how. I always knew that I wanted to make a living out of it from the age of 18 upwards. So I found it quite easy to find a career. So I went to university, I studied sports science, and then I didn't even go to my graduation. I went straight and got a job. I had an interview on the graduation day, and I passed, and I became a personal trainer the next day, and then 2 years in a gym, and now I've had this gym it will be 11 years this weekend.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I was introduced, or you were recommended to me because people speak from this industry speak very highly about you, and you also worked and trained with Charles Poliquin. Is that right?
Yeah, he's been a massive influence, or was bless him. He's obviously not with us anymore, but he was a huge influence on my career. So after becoming a personal trainer, I just have a passion for wanting to get better results. Ever since I started, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do here. And there were 2 paths when I was a trainer. You either went this way, which was Peter Cech, or you went, Paul Cech. Peter Cech's a footballer. Paul Cech. You went this way, which was more holistic, or you went and more rehab, or you went this way, which was strength and conditioning. It was Charles Poliquin, and I was asking my mentor at the time, or my manager at the time, and she's like, "Look, you will love Charles. He is like you. You will love his stuff." And then I went and did all of his courses and mentorships and private consults. I spent a lot of time, and he's had a huge influence on me. Obviously, we wish he was still around, but he's left a huge legacy of coaches because he was at the forefront of the industry. He helped a lot of people. Most people have been on his courses, and all of his stuff is I still use it today. So yeah, he was brilliant.
And you just said he was a key inspiration to you, but probably there was also a bit of an evolution and different influences. And what would you say? What's your key philosophy, or what differentiates you also? Because you, as a very successful athlete yourself, what's your philosophy, or what differentiates you to other strength coaches? If there is something.
Yeah, if there is something, I think all I can say is I can talk about my personality and how I look at things. So I'm meticulous. So it's the polite way of saying I'm OCD. Yeah? So I have a big attention to detail. So I want to look at every small detail. I want to know why you're doing that. What's this? Why is that? I also have a huge passion to learn. And I think I got this from my grandfather, who was very similar. This is what I'm told. It was very similar to me in that he's a very clever man. He went to Cambridge at age 16. He was a genius.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was proper clever. But I always want to know more. I never wanted to stop learning. I did more study when I started my business than I did at university. At university, I was more social. Now it's all about learning more. But it's just a passion to understand. And then, because you keep learning, you keep getting better, you start to find similar people. And I know, Peter's is a contact of both of us. And he's someone I can call and just be like, right, I have this problem. What do I do? And you can get perspective. And I love learning about my profession and how do I get better. And it never stops. It never stops for me.
So it's all like what you just said, I would understand is that kind of there's an acceptance of not knowing everything, and that's why you keep exploring.
Yeah.
Learning.
I mean, even I spent, it depending on the case study that comes in front of me, that's where I kind of study, because I look at the case study and I think, so I spent 3, 4, 5 years just learning about the brain and the mindset and how that affects performance and how we can affect that and different techniques. So I was always trying to find ways of solving the problem in front of me for the client.
Well, one thing I still remember when I started working with you, I had a very predefined picture in my mind of how training should be based on my own experience. Mm-hmm. And your approach was a bit different, and for me it didn't make sense with my set of understanding. And I remember you at some point, you said something along the lines of, if you don't believe in the program, or if you believe it won't work, it won't. Yeah, mm-hmm. so that basically my beliefs limit my progress because I'm not open for different, possibly better approaches. And that stuck with me. And also now looking back over the 2 years we worked together, one of the things you do with your, I don't know with all clients, but at least with me, it's belief work. And why would you say this is important, or why do you do it?
Well, there's still so many ways to go from A to B, right? Or A to Z. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily matter which one you take, but you have to believe in it so you can put effort into it. But yeah, it's just a case of having the client buy in and understand just makes it 20 times easier, because there are many ways to do it. Obviously, depending on what you want to do, so there can be less ways, but there's always a different option. You don't have to necessarily do one, but believing in the process is huge. I find people focus too much on the outcome. You should believe in the process, trust in the process, understand the process, and the outcome is a byproduct of doing the things correctly.
That's so. Also, if I ask about your personal situation, is it for example, if you're going after world record, is it that you don't visualize the outcome, the world record, or is it or is this still part of a?
I would still visualize it. I think I'm a massive believer in how the brain will affect motor unit recruitment. So what I tell clients is the last 2 weeks of training, you can't really get stronger, but you can get weaker if you do too much, or you can get weaker if you think the wrong things. So visualization, there's many studies on this. The brain does not know that you're not performing the movement. So if you start thinking about the movement, feeling the movement, visualizing what you're doing, visualizing yourself, so what you see doing the movement, or visualizing being outside of your body and watching you do the movement, all of these things can lead to an increase in performance because it's like you're doing the movement. It can increase motor unit recruitment, so you can activate the nervous system more readily. It's probably a way to look at it. So I do focus on that. As I get towards it, I will start to visualize it, but I don't believe you need it at first. If we're doing, 16-week program or 16-week build-up, I don't need to think about the world record at the moment. I need to think about Okay, maybe my ankle's tight. I need to fix that. Maybe I need to work on technique on that. I don't need to visualize it that early.
Okay, that's super interesting. And if you, I mean, you work with both professional athletes, but then also general population, and and I mean, from my own experience, you have, I think you call it mindset consults or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are the most common limitations or limiting beliefs you witness in your clients?
So I don't actually offer these anymore.
Ah, okay.
It's fine to talk about them, but I will talk about them readily. So I refer out because it's a time thing. What do I see often? You see it all. But if we talk about, because obviously I'm a strength coach and I get a lot of people come to me for fat loss. So if we narrow it down a little bit and create a bit of context, it might help a bit more. But what I see is a lot of people come to me because they believe if I get a six pack or if I flatten my stomach, I will be happy. But what I found is it is not just rarely, it's never the case. It's happy first, six pack afterwards. That's how it works. So a client comes to me and usually you can gauge it in a conversation. You can discuss their health. You can look at all the different factors. But there's one thing I always ask them. I go, are you comfortable looking at yourself in the mirror naked? Now, it shouldn't affect anyone. But if you ask that to 90 people or 100 people, I think 90 people will be like, no. I've asked that to people before and they've burst out crying.
Wow.
And I see it a lot. People are not happy with their body image, and then you can start to, let's say the top of the tree is there's an issue with mindset, how they think. And then it's whittling down what individual things that they need to work on. And sometimes you can get lucky, you can guess at it, but you just ask questions. Again, more recently, I asked that question. I knew that was going to be a no. So I said, tell me 3 things you like about yourself. And she burst into tears. So you can kind of figure out. So she doesn't like anything about herself. So it's what do you not like? Where does it come from? And you can start to whittle it down. So you don't necessarily. So the mindset technique I used to use with you, there's loads of these. And they all work, but they also all don't work, which is a weird concept to understand. But for some people, the process I used to get great results and I'd look like a genius. And then other people, fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. Whether they bought into it, whether they believed in it, it's regardless. It didn't work. So what you need to do is find the right process for you. Give it 6-8 weeks. Do you see a difference? And this is what I say to people. This is the thing I wish people or clients ask their personal trainers. After 8 weeks, so you do this with me all the time. You got 8 weeks or 12 weeks and you go, what have we achieved? Am I happy with it? What can we do? What went wrong? And nobody does this within personal training, but they also don't do it with their mindset. You need to look at it and go, have you improved? Are you just paying someone to talk to you, or are they fixing the problem? You know me, Simon. I'm all about fixing the problem. I don't want to be a babysitter. I don't want to be a therapist that just listens. I want to be someone that listens and tries to create a solution, because I get more fun out of that. If you want to just talk to someone, go and speak to a drunk or someone like that. Fuck, there's loads of people that will listen. I'm more about trying to create a result. But with regards to the stuff I see a lot of body image stuff. And again, the body image stuff could be one comment that happened as a child. It could be the belief that, so in England, you should always finish your food. Do you have that in Switzerland?
Yeah. We have to.
Stuff like that. Cultural things where you don't leave the table until you've eaten all your food. Things like that. And you can whittle it down and be like, no, it's okay to leave food. It's okay to be hungry. You don't have to do this. So I see a whole host of stuff.
And is something? Is there? You said there are a couple of or many different processes or ways to look into this. Is this something you now leave to your clients, or like do you?
I have people I can refer to. I have one of my very good friends. His partner is a psychologist or a therapist. You just have to find something, try it. evaluate it. I think that's the thing people don't do. You do it really well. You sit down, you evaluate, you go, is this worth my time? Is this worth my investment? Am I getting better? And I don't think people do that. And I think you always need to find someone that's obsessed with results. So it's like when you see Peter, he'll be like, look, you need to do this for your injury. He won't be like, no, come back and see me. No, come back, because he finds it boring. Okay. He doesn't just want to make money. He wants to fix people and make money. So I think finding someone with a similar ethos to that for mindset is key. It genuinely doesn't matter whether it's the Sedona method, whether it's tapping and emotional freedom technique, whether it's CBT, they're all the same thing. But they all work on the subconscious. They all work on how you think, and that's the key. You need to fix and correct your automatic programming. I speak about this a lot with clients. So you've got your conscious and your subconscious. Your conscious can handle, I think, 40 processes, whereas your subconscious is 40 billion. And that's where your automatic programming is stored. If you want to take one thing out of the 40 out of your conscious and add it in, it's possible. But if you go away and you go, right, I need to be grateful, and I need to praise myself, and I need to do this, I need to eat better, and it's too much. So I always narrow it down, and I go, look, you need to be, at the end of the day, find 3 things you're grateful for. You need to find 3 things to praise yourself for. You need to find 3 things that you like about yourself, until that becomes a habit and they start to believe in those things.
And this is also like one of the key differentiators between your clients who like have results, whatever they are, and those who don't. Like,
is that the key? Is that one of the keys?
The main thing which differentiates maybe also your athletes or the athletes you coach in terms of achieving their goals versus your clients?
Yeah, you get a lot of different, but I think one of the key things would be the ability to reflect. So the ability to be conscious is kind of what it is, right? So when you reflect at the end of the day and you sit, you slow down. You cannot reflect and scroll on social media on your phone. You have to go take back, and what am I grateful for? What's happening? Am I moving forward? I think it's like checking your bank statement. A lot of people that don't have money don't check their bank statement because they want to look at it and they go, oh no, I don't want to look at that again. There's too many bills. But money flow can't get better unless you look at it first. And then once you look at it, you think that's bad. Then you take action. So it's the same thing. So look at it. What happened with your mood, your mindset during the day, and then reflect, and then you can take action. Otherwise, you just blindly walk through life without looking at things and adjusting. And it's difficult because, you have to be able to call yourself on your own bullshit. And that's another thing people don't have. So you need to have somebody you trust who can go, Simon, you're being a dick, do this. Or Tom, you need to fucking stop doing that. Or, you need someone that can tell you what's what sometimes.
One of the own realizations is it's difficult to see one or find one's own blind spots. Yeah, that's for an outside reference. It's very, very valuable. And one of the things I also witnessed with you that was new to me is that less is more. I was used to have a lot of volume and exercise a lot, and I was continuously obsessed about doing more as much as I could possibly handle. And you kind of challenged me, and I proposed a different way, and it was very, very difficult for me to understand that like just resting or like, recovery is possibly like even more important than the volume.
What I find there that helps people understand it is, are you addicted to training or are you addicted to results? Neither is wrong, but it's what you want to do. And I had this conversation with somebody recently, and he went, I'm addicted to training. And I said, fine, but you won't get bigger. It's not going to happen. You will still be, next year, you will still be 68 kilos. And if you're fine with that, cool. Or you need to eat more and sleep more, but that's not possible because his lifestyle just wouldn't quite allow it. And I'm like, do you know what I find? The average people, to get stronger, you only need 4 exercises per workout.
Okay. Yeah.
Just per workout. I can get anybody stronger. All I need is 4 exercises. If you just said to everyone, you're only allowed 4 exercises a workout, there'd be better results and more quality.
So one of the usual answers from many of my friends when we talk about health or fitness or possibly lifestyle, they complain about the situation. And then like, I mean, as a background, I've been doing a lot of sports and was a bit obsessed, and also like for some years was measuring my calories with a scale. And so they would say, yeah, for you it's easy, yeah, because you are like that, yeah, like you're doing it. But then they have no reference of where I was when I started. And so, like what you just said, like literally, like, can everybody be fit, healthy, whatever, like lean and active, or is that like are certain parts of the population I just don't have the capacity for it? Or because
this is where the mind takes over. I think everyone can do whatever they want. I get the concept of genetic limitation. Like, I cannot, at the age of 35, break the 100 meters world record. I know this, but what you were talking about is just very minor goals that everyone can achieve. Some people don't want it, and that's fine as well. But I think you're only limited by your thought patterns, big time.
And would you say that like every single one would benefit from strength or resistance or weight training? So
yep,
something we should.
bottom line is yes, and that's not
I have the suspicion you're a little bit biased, though.
yeah, and I get that. But here's the thing. So what I tell people is, because I wrote a book, but I never released it.
Okay.
But what I tell people is the key variable is progressive overload. So exercise, it needs to involve effort. So effort could just be walking and not being able to just at the limit of holding a conversation. You know what I mean? Being able to talk. So that much effort, or sweating. Then the other thing is progressive overload. Now, the reason weights is a great selection for progressive overload is you just add more weight. But there's so many different ways of overloading your nervous system or your body. You can like, people run longer or further. You can go quicker. You can reduce your rest periods. You can use a hill. You can do more press ups. So for me, because I get it, not everyone wants to lift weights. That's fine. And if your goal is just general, the very key variable that I will tell you to find is find something you enjoy. I enjoy weights, so I go, look, try weights. But I've had people come in my gym and like, I don't like this. I'm like, okay, go and try this. And I lose money, but I don't care because they get results and they're happier elsewhere. It's fine.
From a secret source, I was told that you started out the ballet, like in the early days.
I started the what?
Ballet.
Oh, where'd you see that? Yes. So when I was up to the age of 12, maybe 13, I did ballet.
And
if I had a boy, I'd make him do it or recommend he did it.
Well, I guess, I mean, like I started doing a little bit gymnastics, so like that changed my perspective on many things. So I guess there's also some inspiration coming from that, which you're still incorporating into your strength training, right?
Exactly. And I think it creates I did gymnastics as well. And whether you did ballet, gymnastics, both, I think it creates a fantastic foundation. The key, up to the age of 12, the key is do as many sports or activities as possible. So dancing, martial arts, sports that involve your feet, like football, sports that involve a racket, like hand-eye coordination, everything. You should swimming, because that should just be standard because you need it just to save your life sometimes. I think the more motor patterns you are exposed to, the better. And I was very blessed because I went to a private school and they did everything. And I was able to do any sport all the time. And I'm very grateful for that. But if, I have a daughter now and we're already taking her to gymnastics.
Okay, that's super cool. I mean, when I look back at working in a bank, spending all the hours in the office, it was literally just maybe two positions I spent my day in. One was sitting, the other one was standing. And and really when I started gymnastics, it was in a way like discovering my body maybe for the first time since I was young, like that I can actually move it. Yeah, like, and that was
That's cool.
an incredible experience and really good. And one of the things I learned from you is recovery is important, or very important. What would you say are the like most important things, or the top three, like what are recommendations for recovery, maybe in general, but also like, regarding to strength training?
The 100% number one thing for recovery is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody tells you something is better than sleep, they're lying.
Would you say that most people have enough sleep?
No.
No.
No. So statistically, 6 hours and less sleep total, so total volume per day, is linked to 100% of diseases known to man. That's a big statistic, and people, I'm going to say it again because people think, 6 hours and less is linked to 100% of disease known to man. So if you sleep 6 hours or less, I guarantee you're not going to be healthy.
Yeah. There are these people who say, yeah, like I'm part of this whatever, like special group who just need 4 or 5 like hours of sleep, and I feel good, yeah, I feel fit, but
it's the biggest load of shit. And that the human body can adapt to a lot of things, and it will adapt to that. You will get used to sleeping 4 to 5 hours, but all your functions will be down. So you've got 2 options: continue that or die early. I know it sounds really bad, but there's no beating around the bush with it. You're as people go, I sleep when I'm dead. You're going to be dead 10, 20 years early if you sleep 6 hours and less. So it's dumb. And it was cool, wasn't it? Like recently, like 10 years ago, like I'm working this much. I tell you what, one of Charles's biggest regrets was working 20-hour days. And he said this towards the end of his life when he wasn't in great health. He said, I regret this. That's what screwed me. Doing 20-hour days. He would work 20-hour days as well as train in that 20 hours and then sleep for it. And then, you know, it's crazy. And it used to be cool to, I'm waking up at 4 and I'm doing it. But yeah, I every now and then I go through a period, maybe 3 months a year, where I wake up at 4, usually in the summer. But I go to bed at 8. So I don't go to bed at midnight because I'm not trying to do more. I'm trying to just change the hours according to light. But people don't sleep enough. I think 7 to 9 hours is okay. 8 to 9 is optimal. Once you go over 9, things start to get worse again. So more's not better. But I think it used to be cool to do as much work as you can, and now it's a bit cooler to do less to do more. Like, you know, Tim Ferriss and a 4-hour work week.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I think at the beginning of a career, a lot of the time you should do more, maybe, and maybe you have to do more to kind of figure out a few things. But I think people, as they get more experience, should be more efficient. Okay,
that's something anyone listening to this can take away. Yeah? Like pay attention to sleep, and if you
sleep.
Well, like, I mean, what are the key ingredients for the results in terms of health, or maybe a certain body weight, or being lean and fit and energized?
Yeah. Sure. So again, sleep. Yeah. But we've covered that, so we'll move on from that. But there's a saying that we have in the UK. Maybe you've heard of it. Big dogs die young.
No, we don't have that one. Yeah.
So the bigger the dog, the earlier they die. So a Great Dane is like a pony, yeah, and they don't have a good lifespan. And it's the same with humans statistically. So if someone's looking to live longer, you don't necessarily want to be the biggest human you can be.
That refers to both like body fat and muscle mass, or
just size, general size. So more muscle mass, taller, just things like that. You're generally worse off. That's not to scare anyone. You can manage things the best you can, but you know, huge amounts of muscle mass isn't so good. A little bit of muscle mass, a little bit of body fat, so balance is fine. But that's where BMI comes in, and that the reason they made BMI is because statistically that's the best markers for health. If you go above the range, even if you have muscle mass, yes, you're going to be less healthy later on. It's just statistically, that's what happens. So you want to be within the healthy marker for BMI. It's not just that it's cost effective, but it's quite accurate if your body fat is at a healthy level. So sleep, BMI would be the big one. We've discussed mindset, but I think they looked at was it blue zones in the world, and they all had. So there's a blue zone in Asia somewhere. So a blue zone is an area with multiple people that live to 100. Yeah, and I think it's Okona. I can't remember. Either way, in Asia they call it an ikigai. In French, it's a raison d'être. So it's a reason to be. So all of these people had a reason to live.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your reason to live? What is your reason to get up in the morning? If you have no reason to get up in the morning, the universe will duly oblige and give you what you're asking for.
What's your reason to get up in the morning?
My daughter and my wife mainly.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy working for them, but I enjoy working for fun because what I do is brilliant fun. I have no problems. But I love getting people strong. That's my passion.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I know that you had a competition this Sunday. Like, wow, like switching topic, it just dropped in my mind. And I think you mentioned you had a minor injury, and which also impacted you a little bit. And so I'm curious. Like, for example, your world record attempt, and then like setting a new world record. What was what was going on in your mind, or then also like maybe having the setbacks with injuries? Like, what was the inner dialogue, and like what do you do?
The inner dialogue this weekend was I was calm about everything, but the problem was I wasn't excited. I wasn't enthusiastic. I was just apathetic, nonplussed. I was fairly not in the zone when it comes down to it. And the results reflect that. I had a very good opener and then just hit a wall. I had an injury with my forearm. I played it down in my head. I was like, nah, it's not big. It's not that bad. It wasn't an injury. It's tendonitis. It's just overuse from the way I changed my technique. And then 2 weeks before that, I had a lower back issue, which, I couldn't do my shoelace up. But again, I played it down. It wasn't that big a deal. So I still...
Yeah. Please.
I still managed over like 95% of my best, which is still good. And I felt good, but I couldn't get through the next part.
So is it, if you say, like, is it more you acknowledge whatever like the problem is in a sense, but then focus on the end result, or is it ignoring the problem, or like how would you describe what's going on in your mind? If you're like, or maybe also.
So what I was playing it down, I suppose. I didn't think it was going to be a factor. I don't think it was a factor. I genuinely think the biggest issue I had this weekend was I wasn't enjoying it and I wasn't excited. If I'm enjoying it and I'm excited, right? You don't feel pain when you win.
But like, how was the situation when you set the world record last year? Like how was it?
I wanted that record for 6 years.
So it was like really like a 6-year build up to this moment.
Yeah. I thought about it at first 6 years before, and then for 2 years, maybe 3 years, I should have hit it, and it took me a lot of learning to hit it. So I wanted it so bad, like the passion was there. Whereas yesterday, 2 days ago, there wasn't enough passion. It was like, which is not so good, but I just wasn't up for it.
And if you could travel back in time and to give yourself some advice, like what would be the number one thing you would tell yourself?
So I'm not a big believer in.
Wouldn't you?
I wouldn't because then I wouldn't learn. And what I've done is I need to still sit back and think about what I'm going to do, because I need to figure out why I want to do it. I don't mind making mistakes anymore. It used to kill me for weeks and weeks, and I'd be very unhappy and low and wouldn't be able to think and process it and then be productive. I would just get back into training again without processing it. But if I had to tell myself something, I'd be like, go and enjoy it. Because I didn't.
That's a good one. and just like, I mean, like it just dropped into my head. But like before, we talked about sleep, mindset, having a reason to get up. How important is diet, and what are the most common mistakes people do, and even like serious athletes or strength athletes? What are the top three mistakes people do? And
People or strength, or the big strength athlete, or both? We'll do it in separate.
maybe like first, like maybe general population or
Sure. So the biggest mistakes, general population, I see they don't eat breakfast. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see is people they use fads. They look for the next diet. Diet is really, really easy. You don't have to overthink it. It could be calories in versus calories out. But with nutrition or diet, you need to monitor things initially.
So that would mean like what kind of foods and the portion size, or
anything. Mm-hmm. Because if you have one variable that you monitor, you can then make changes to that variable to see if it creates success. People blindly follow a diet because they don't understand the underlying things behind it.
So the first step would be I look at what I currently eat. I write down what I eat.
Perfect. And then you can analyze it yourself, or you have a professional and you go, look, this is why you're not losing weight, or this is why your energy levels aren't low because of whatever. But what you monitor can then be changed. So it all comes about from monitoring something. And then once you get used to it and you're doing the right things to create success, you don't need to monitor it. So for you, for instance, if you wanted to lose body fat, you wouldn't need to go and count calories or monitor macronutrients. You know the process because you've done it. So you go, I just go and do this, this, and this. Job done. So you don't need to go through the arduous process of weighing your food, counting calories, doing this. You maybe just need to add in food prep. I tell you what, that's the number one thing, food prep. So preparing your food either a week before or a day before, whatever it is, cooking all of your food ahead of time and then eating it.
Probably because most people listening to this are not professional athletes or not yet exercising frequently. So like are the foundation to like a good diet, are they similar? Are they individually very different? Or what would you say are is the foundation of a good diet?
The foundation of a good diet is balance. It's much like the training aspect. So if you're having things
like if I had like a croissant for breakfast and a little bit like pasta for lunch, and then an evening a nice bread, would that be balanced?
It wouldn't be balanced because you're probably, if we looked at two items, and it doesn't matter which one you look at, if you looked at total calorie intake, it would probably be over your basal metabolic rate. So if you just monitored it by, you had 5,000 calories and you only need 2.5, well, then you're going to put on body fat, if that's what you want, or you're going to put on weight. But if you looked at it from carbohydrate load, you could look at it and be like, well, maybe your genetic predisposition is not to do well with carbs. So maybe you need to reduce that, but it's the same thing as the calories. So it doesn't matter which one you look at or which theory you believe is correct. They're both correct if you've changed one of them. Some people don't do well with that because the wrong neurotransmitters are then expressed after eating certain foods. So with those foods, there's a higher serotonin buildup. Serotonin for me with serotonin, I just fall asleep. Okay. So if I had a croissant in the morning before training, my drive to train would be lowered. So my ability to lift heavier weights would be inhibited through that neurotransmitter because it opposes dopamine, which is what I want to be high to train. So again, Charles would always talk about meat and nuts. Eat the right foods at the right time. You have meat and nuts in the morning, or I talk about protein and healthy fat to start the day. And then carbohydrates is something usually you would put around a workout. So if you're not training, maybe you don't need those carbs. Maybe you'd be better off having more vegetables, which are carbohydrates in itself. The problem with it is, do you want to have a full meal that will make you full, which has more vegetables, a bit more rounded, more nutrients, or do you want the croissant, which is it'll give you calories, it'll give you sugars, but will it give you the nutrients? will it create satiety and dampen your hunger? So neither's wrong, but you need to figure out what you want. If you have the croissant, well, you're probably going to be hungry pretty quickly. But if you have meat and nuts, maybe it will minimize hunger, which then stops cravings, which then helps your focus. So neither's wrong, but it's kind of like, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve?
Yeah. Okay. So you would recommend like leaving certain food, like maybe out of consideration, depending on like how strongly you want to reach something, or like are there certain things like it's recommended to just not eat in general, like if it's about health? Or
so I'm more of the opinion nowadays that there's no evil food. It's just there'll be a higher sugar, and I think again, if you're conscious about what you're choosing, what you're selecting, you'll be able to develop better results. Not eating is a tool. So not eating is fasting. Fasting is useful as a tool. It is not a lifestyle. I think people that use it as a lifestyle are fucking stupid. I'm not a fan of it. I see the benefits. I know the benefits. I've seen all the science, but I still would only use it for 1 week at a time, or 2 weeks, or whatever. I wouldn't use it for a year. I don't think that's of benefit to people. I used to go through it. I wouldn't eat, in the morning because it was early, and then I just train. And then I started adding in a meal and some more carb, and my performance went through the roof. But what happens is you get used to what you're doing. So the only way to do that is to try something different. The only way to overcome it is to try something different, to create a new response. So your body adapts to it, and all of a sudden you feel normal. Normal is an opinion. Okay. If I jumped inside your body right now, you may feel fantastic. I may feel, oh, I'm groggy, I'm tired, I'm aching, I'm this, and whatever. So normal is an opinion, so it's useless almost. And whatever you constantly do every day, that becomes your normal feeling. Some people feel normal and they're really unhealthy, and it's not so good. So for me, you need to change to create a new stimulus and see if does that improve things or does that make things worse.
So that's also why, like, do you have a coach yourself? Or?
No, I hire the best coach in the world.
What's you?
I'm joking. I think if you're going to be, so firstly, I enjoy the process. I love writing my own program.
Yeah.
I love executing my own program. Every time I do, I learn. I have ideas every time. So I have some ideas that I've written down ages ago that maybe I'll do over these next 8 weeks. So I love that part of the process. Do I talk to professionals to learn? Yeah, for sure. Am I coachable? Maybe not, because I probably would look at their program and think, I'm not sure. And just because I've paid for something doesn't mean I'll do it. So I think everyone has to be coachable. If you're going to hire a coach, you need to trust that they're going to get results, and you need to follow their process. I don't mean don't ask questions, understand it. But for me, I just love that. And there's no ego there, no insecurity. I know other clients, other coaches that would do a good job, but I would probably second guess things and not enjoy it as much. And that's my problem.
But from what you said, like, it would be really beneficial to have a coach for most people, like just to have this outside perspective and maybe.
I'm of the opinion of hiring experts. So I don't invest my money because I don't know what to do. I'd rather give it to you and you do it, because I don't know what to do with it. My expertise is getting you fit, healthy, strong. So hire someone with it. It's like that. I don't believe, like, if you were being sued, you would not represent yourself in court. Okay. It's stupid. You're going to get way more return on investment on hiring someone that fits your budget. And it's the same thing with health and fitness. People believe they know what they're doing, but you can look at them and the proof is in the pudding, right? How they look.
Funnily, also my lesson. I first wanted to know everything myself, but then at some point I said, it doesn't just make sense. Like, I will never be as good as someone who does it.
Yeah, it's I think we call it the jack of all trades or master of none.
Makes sense.
And you can be good at things, like maybe someone can learn a little bit about investing, but if you had the choice between someone that does it on the weekend and then there's a job, I'm picking this guy every time.
Makes perfect sense. And And another question, like, you talked a little bit about diet. Like, what do you think about supplements? Are there supplements everybody should be taking, or things everybody is lacking, and it's really difficult to get them through like a proper diet?
So it's not difficult to get them through diet. You can, but you need to eat a lot of things. They talk about the food quality going down, but the research doesn't actually support that. They give reasons, but the research doesn't support it. So supplement is something that can be used as an extra. The best way to determine whether you need a supplement is blood tests.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're guessing. It's not that you can't make like everyone can make an educated guess, because some people cannot. Like blood tests can be a big investment for some people. Like, you know, if it's £600 once a year, that can be outside of somebody's reach. Mm-hmm. Ideally, you tell them get the blood test, then come back next year. But what you can do is make educated guesses, and you can see common deficiencies based on where people live. Like vitamin D for people in Scandinavia is very common because mm-hmm. there's not a lot of light in the winter, or vitamin D in the winter anyway. So you can kind of guess that a vitamin D supplement would support them. Zinc is another big one that you see deficient in people, and magnesium. Those are the three most popular ones. After that, support with digestive tract, like being able to break down food better. If people are stressed, or people eat fizzy drinks, sometimes that can affect stomach acid levels. Those are the big ones. You can also do genetic tests. On my website, you can get a code for MUHDO, MUHDO.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it can tell you about the genetic side of things. And I think the genetic test is really useful for deficiencies. Like I looked mine up and it says deficient in, I think B6, B12, and selenium, for example.
And that's based on your genes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Genetic predisposition to being deficient in something.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I started taking them, and you know, there's a lot of links there. So when I eat a lot of seafood, which, you know, selenium mm-hmm. is rich in seafood, I feel good. I feel great. So it links there. B6 can be linked to mood. So if you struggle with mood swings or something like that. And again, I looked at that and I'm like, you know what, that makes sense. I can't wind down. I don't make as much GABA in the evening. I do worry more instead of being calm and relaxed. And sometimes you don't know why. And sometimes it is a deficiency. So that's another good place to start. Obviously, your genetic test, you don't need to do twice. So it's only a one-time investment. So once you have it, it's good because more and more research is coming out in that. It's a very developing area. About 15 years ago, I was recommended it, but I was like, it's too new. Well, we didn't know enough. But I think it's better now, and it's especially the nutrient deficiency markers. They're quite good. They're useful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super cool. The one thing I'm also really curious is, are there any examples of times in your lives when you initially thought it was like the worst thing ever, but it turned out to be
so many times
to be a blessing? And
I can tell you times about the business, for instance. So I opened up a business with two people, and if it got to the point, it was exactly 2 years in, just before the 2-year anniversary. And I just went, I've had enough. I'm earning nothing. This fucking shit. I'm not enjoying it. And, you know, I bought them out. They left, made it into what I believe is a success in my eyes. Within all that, one of the partners, or ex-partners, should I say at the time, their mother had lent the company money, but with no contract. And she was expecting it to be paid back immediately. And I didn't have it. We didn't have any money. She knew it, because she remortgaged the house. But none of this was explained to us, and we ended up having to go through lawyers. But I would have handled it differently because it was very stressful at the time. I was sued by a staff member before because they believed they were entitled to certain things when they weren't. And in my opinion, obviously they believed differently. It's fine. And I think, again, it's a lesson I wouldn't want to go through again, but I overthought what was happening. For some people, that, you know, it's just a game. They want to lie to earn money. And that's what happened in that instance. Not a lot of money, but money. I've had lots of staff members leave. Sometimes that's stressful. So I changed the business model because of that. I've been there, and I thought the whole business was going to end. So there's a lot of business lessons I can tell you about that. You think it's the end of the world, and it's really not.
Yeah, I imagine also that the lockdown this year kind of
that was the best thing to happen to me.
Impacted the way you approach your business too, right?
Yeah, the lockdown was the best thing to happen to me in a long time, because I've been wanting to make the change that I made. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. And it gave me an excuse to do it, because I was deliberating over it for ages. And my wife went, "You fucking talk about this all the time. Okay. This is when you do it." And I was like, "Okay, I'm fucking doing it." So I made some changes, and I removed the stuff. Basically, lockdown, I had a lot of fun in lockdown. I had no stress. I didn't have staff, which is tough. I didn't have huge overheads, which is tough. I still had my online business. It wasn't perfect, but I got enough support. I didn't get grants and loans and things, but I got enough support from clients and people that were able to keep paying me, and obviously my wife, who couldn't work, and we had a mortgage holiday, so I felt fine. We got through it. The goal was to just get out the other side of the lockdown. If we've got a little bit of debt, it'll be managed, and we can earn more afterwards. It's fine. It wasn't stressful, but I'm thriving more now than before lockdown. I'm in the best position with my physical health, mental health, financial health than I've ever been. And I think that one of the sayings is, don't waste a crisis. Okay. Take advantage of opportunity. And, maybe it's luck. It just, everything has fallen into place for me.
That's super cool. I want to be respectful of it, and respectful is the word. About your time too. What, like, if you have one advice or something you want people listening to this to know, what would that be? Like a recommendation or whatever it might be.
One thing that covers everything would be action. Taking action has a 100% return on investment. So whether you do, like, I see people and they don't do it. This is why my wife said, just fucking do it. Okay. You have to just take action, and then you can figure out whether it's the right answer afterwards. But I see people who are paralyzed from taking action, and the key is to do something, analyze, and then move on.
Super cool, Tom. Is there like anything you want to share, like what you're working on, or something cool, like people like whatever?
Yeah,
workshops.
I mean, we're working on a membership, an online membership. Yeah. It's called WSO membership, and it's aimed for people that are interested in getting mainly stronger. Is kind of what we're looking at. There's a lot of stuff in there that would help people with health. A lot of general fitness programs in there. You've got programs, lots of videos with technique, advice. That's kind of what we're working on. I do have a very, very big goal of being able to employ strength athletes, because no one else has ever done that, and I have a business model for it, but it's based around growing that external membership. So we'll see if that can come into fruition in the next few years.
That's all super interesting. So they would then start coaching others, or how?
They don't have to. So I would pay them to train. I want to pay them to train, and then provide all of the things that I had access to, but also didn't have access to. So when I've been competing, I don't have access to a therapist. I wasn't paid to do things. I wasn't paid to sleep, because, I'm running a business as well as doing all these world record attempts and things. So they wouldn't have that stress. I want to pay them and remove that stress.
Okay, so super cool. So basically enable someone to execute their sports like fully without having a side hustle.
That's it. Weightlifters, strongmen, powerlifters. That's my end goal. And I don't mean just give them a couple of this. I want to pay them well. But then as they go through, my expectation would be they'd hopefully learn and understand the process. So it gives them a platform to then create an income later on, so they can become maybe coaches if they wanted to. That would be up to them at that point. My goal would be, I want to train you to be a world record holder or whatever they want to achieve.
That sounds super cool. Fingers crossed. All the best. Thank you, Tom, for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Simon. I've had a lot of fun today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Goodbye.
Perfect. Cheers, buddy.